Hello, everyone. My name is Gia, and I'm an occupational therapist. And this evening, I'm going to be one of your hosts today. Welcome to the season finale of OTalakayan, Season 3, PAOT's online interview program where we tackle different topics about OT and mental health. And with us this afternoon is my good friend and co host for this episode. Hi, Marian.
Hi, Gia. And hello, everyone. I'm Marian, also your host for this afternoon. Can you believe it, Gia? We're down to our last episode for this season. And can I just say that it has been a very enlightening season 3 for us and our dedicated viewers and subscribers here at Otalakayan.
I totally agree with you there, Marian. I mean, with all the stress and the uncertainty that we are all facing during these difficult times, sobrang timely and relevant naman talaga that we finally get to talk about mental health. I mean, it's been a long time coming, and it's an important conversation to have, especially now. Just last week in episode 5, we were able to put the spotlight on OT practice in the field of mental health through the invaluable insights and experiences from our resource speakers. And if you were able to watch, and if you were able to join us last episode, nakakatuwa lang naman talagang pakinggan kung papaano nag-evolve ang OT mental health practice dito sa atin from the perspective ng speakers natin na sadya namang mga veterano na sa field ng mental health.
And it's still evolving. Na-share rin ng speakers natin last week how the practice is also adapting to the challenges posed by the health crisis that is affecting the whole world. Nakaka-inspire din to hear them talk about why OTs are needed in mental health. Hopefully, it sparked the interest in our viewers to take on a mental health practice.
I'm sure it did, Marian. And together with all the learnings from our episodes this season, kasi di ba we had episodes from like on relationships and financial management, di ba? So hopefully, our viewers have gained a better appreciation, I guess, for taking care of their own and their clients' mental health and well-being. Sabi nga nila, you can't pour from an empty cup. And as practitioners, we also have to take care of our own mental health before we can help our clients with theirs. Ikaw ba, Mariam? What activities do you do to help cope ngayong mga panahon ng pandemya?
Well, my day is typically filled with teletherapy sessions. So at the end of the day, after I'm done with all of my sessions, I just try to do some yoga exercises and a few stretches to help me loosen up and relax my muscles after long hours of sitting in front of my laptop. Though I've only started doing it recently, I think it actually makes me feel good.
Sana all may time talaga mag-yoga, no?
Yeah.
That sounds like an amazing way to distress nga after a long day of teletherapy sessions. And actually, now that you've mentioned it, it's not just us adults who need physical activity to stay healthy while staying at home. And that's exactly what this episode of Otalakayan is all about. Because in this episode, we will try to describe the different challenges faced by children during this pandemic. At the same time, describe the possible effects of inactivity on the overall well being of children, including their physical and mental well being. We'll also try to identify the benefits of engaging in physical activity and enumerate possible physical activities that can be incorporated into their routines at home. We'll also have time to identify ways to encourage physical activity kahit na sobrang busy ng ating mga chikiting. Even whether it's during this pandemic or maybe even after.
Excited na ako to get into all of that. Now that we know what's in store for us this afternoon, I think we can now introduce our esteemed speakers for today's episode. Our first speaker is Miss Ana Luisa Chungo, who is the managing partner at Fitness B, and she's also an OT consultant for Goals Caloocan and Think Kids. She has been an OT practitioner for 10 years now. Miss Anna
Hello.
here. Hi, Miss Anna.
Good
Also
afternoon.
joining us is Miss Stephanie Mir Quinones Presto, who is also a pediatric OT for Therability South, the Able Center, and One World School Philippines. Teacher Steph is a certified kids yoga teacher and a registered Hatha Vinyasa yoga teacher. She's also the founder of Play, which stands for Participation and Learning Through Activities and Yoga, and is the author of Play Kids Yoga Cards.
Hi
Hi,
everyone.
Steph. Okay, welcome to OTalakayan, Teacher Anna and Teacher Steph.
Thank you.
Hi. Thanks for
Thank you for
having us.
Yeah.
welcome. Also, we have two student reactors joining us for this episode. So our first reactor is Joshua, an OT intern from Cebu Doctors University. Hello, Joshua. Say hi.
Hello and good day to our fellow viewers. And we hope that we will see more from our speakers for today. And hopefully, we will be able to derive more knowledge in what they can impart.
Okay. Let us also welcome on screen Gio, another OT intern from Cebu Doctors University as well. Hello, Gio. Hello, Gio.
Hello, good afternoon, viewers. I hope we will learn something from today's episode, and we will carry on this learning in our practice in the future. Thank you, guys. Thank you, viewers.
Okay, so Joshua and Gio, we will be calling you once again for your comments or reactions about the topic later.
At dahil nga ito ay isang talakayan, hindi lang si Gio at si Joshua ang gusto nating marinig during this conversation. We'd love you, our viewers, to be part of this conversation as well. So I would like to invite all of you to share your questions by sending a message to the questions crew right here on Zoom. So let's make this an open conversation because we'd love to hear your thoughts about our topic ngayon. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's get right to it. Hi, Teacher Anna and Teacher Steph. Ready na
Hi,
ba?
good afternoon.
Yeah, so welcome to Otalakayan Season 3. So talagang season finale ang at topic today. Right? Okay, so how are you doing this fine afternoon naman?
Okay
um,
naman so far. I think medyo adjusted na do sa COVID quarantine situation. Slowly getting back on track.
Mm-hmm. Marami sigurong adjustments talaga ngayon, no? Si Teacher Steph, how are you?
I'm good. I'm excited about the weekend.
Yeah.
Though the days seem like a blur, na we're in quarantine, but I'm still looking forward to my rest days. And yeah, I just ended a class before this interview, so I'm really excited to share what we just did earlier with everyone. Yeah, so thanks for inviting us here to share our story for Teacher and Anna and I.
We're happy to have you here, teachers. Mhm.
Yeah, we're so grateful to have you with us for this episode of Otalakayan, despite your busy or not so busy schedule right now. Okay. So siguro to start, maybe ask you to say hi and introduce yourselves to our viewers and listeners for us to get a little more idea about what you do.
So here we can start with Teacher Anna.
Okay.
Okay. So, hi, I'm Anna. Na-introduce naman ako kanina. So, yes, I'm an occupational therapist. Yes, it's been 10 years already and I have been practicing in the pediatric setting all this time. Uh, it has been, I guess, a passion really to work with kids ever since. And just last year, we opened a kiddie gym, an inclusive kiddie gym. It's called Fitness B. It's parang a passion project for me and my partners. And yeah, focus namin talaga is to promote physical fitness in children. And so I'm very happy to be invited for this talk. And hopefully through this medium, I'll be able to share what I know about children and physical activity and get more people to really understand and adapt that practice into their everyday lives.
Thank you, Teacher Anna. si Teacher Steph.
Okay. Hi, I'm Teacher Steph. I am a pediatric occupational therapist as well, same as Teacher Anna. And I'm a kids yoga teacher as well. Been practicing since 2015, teaching kids. So similarly, it's been a passion of mine also to promote movement, yoga, and mindfulness exercises as a way to develop more than just the academic skills of children, but also for their holistic development, mental well being, also creativity and social interaction. Though this has been greatly affected by the quarantine because yoga is supposed to be like a community activity where kids come together and learn from each other and play together, and families as well. I've been blessed to have been given the opportunity to transfer to an online platform where I still see my previous kids, their siblings, newer kids as well, who have been trying to find ways to escape the confines of their homes with creative movements that allow them to express who they are. So hopefully, my little bit of knowledge and experience would be an option for parents and teachers out there to explore different ways of teaching and nurturing the potential of children. So there, thanks.
So both of you are ano talaga started out talaga with in pediatric practice. So why pedia, if I may
Mhm.
ask? Mm-mm.
Ako medyo, I think obvious reason is because I'm very petite. And yun, parang internship pa lang, na-mention na sa akin na parang I guess because of my body type, it's gonna be hard to work with physical dysfunction in adults. And I don't know, medyo playful din talaga ako by nature. Medyo madaldal, makulit. And so parang I wanted to channel that to working with children. Yun. And then I have been a Sunday school teacher also for several years as well. So parang I wanted to have that parang consistency, I guess.
Mhm. So parang part talaga ng life mo ang working with kids,
Oo.
Teacher Anne, right?
How about you, Teacher Steph?
Ako naman, I was the opposite of Teacher Anna. I remember one CS telling me that I might not be cut out for pedia. But the tides brought me here. I wanted to work alongside my friends, and it seemed like a perfect opportunity to just be with them, follow what they're doing, learn from them instead of trying something different. And then I was just finding my way through the first 5 years of practice. It was 5 years after that I found yoga and the training where I can incorporate it with my session. So from there, it became more than just work. It became more like an advocacy in a way, something that made me happy to do every day, something to look forward to. So yeah, and then I read this quote that they says if you find something that makes you happy and it's your work, it won't be work anymore. So I've stuck with it. So I'm happy to be here.
And I'm sure your kids are also happy to be attending your sessions with you, no?
Yes,
Uh, mhm. And I'm
definitely.
sure, yes, ano yan, Teacher Steph?
Yeah, definitely. Parang it's because of them kaya ako naging playful.
Ayan.
I'm sure in your OT practice, talagang you get to work with kids, all kinds of kids of all ages, even before the pandemic started, no? Pero siguro sa dami kasi ng mga naging changes na nangyayari sa society natin ngayon, for sure, may effect itong mga to sa ating mga kiddos. So, in your experience working with kids before the pandemic and now, even during the pandemic, ano yung mga napapansin nyo na current challenges faced by children with the onset of, COVID-19 and the whole shebang?
Ako siguro, kasi I still see some of my students for online teletherapy. Uh, a very obvious thing I immediately noticed was gain talaga ng weight. yun yung pinakauna kong, very, very, ano siya, very physical kasi. So, it's the first thing that you usually notice. And
Mm-mm.
then, once I get to talk to the parents, and then when I started working with these children, then you'll see na parang there has been changes now in sleep. These children had a hard time falling asleep na, or like parang, um, ibang-iba yung routine. Since they didn't go to school anymore, there's no more therapy they go to weekly, na iba yung routine. And then, yun, may mga behavioral changes daw. And then, that's also what I observed during sessions. Some of them were very parang impatient. They parang lack focus, not as well as when we were very consistent pa before the pandemic happened. Yun.
Mm.
Teacher Steph, do I know
Mhm.
that?
Okay. Yeah. Similar then, and aside from that, I noted changes in terms of motivation to work because it's been a change of context. It's
Mm.
like we've been invading their safe space,
Mhm.
and we seem like to be a foreign presence in their homes enlarged on TV screens. So yeah, so that's one thing I've noticed. Parang they just want to be, or sometimes they ask what is going on, what's different. So it has definitely taken a toll as on their physical and emotional well-being. That's what I've noted.
Mm. Totoo no, na the environment talaga has a big impact. Na parang nagkakaroon ng blending tuloy ng spaces na in their mind parang naka-compartmentalize na siguro kahit sa atin din na adults, parang naka-compartmentalize natin na it's time for work, I'll go to workplace, or for kids, it's time for school, so pupunta sila sa school. Tapos may certain routines na sila sa place na yon, and then when they get home, parang another compartment naman siya na it's time for me time, it's time for family time, and now parang yeah, like sabi nga ni Teacher Steph, parang nagkakaroon ng invasion dun sa cases ng ating mga kiddos. And it can't be easy to cope with that much change in such a short amount of time, no?
Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly. And the
even
mode of learning, diba?
Mm-hmm.
It's changed
Mm.
also.
Yes, kasi lahat ngayon online, like not just our therapy
uh,
sessions, but even their school. So talagang ilang hours sila sa harap ng computer na before pinagbabawal natin. Pero ngayon, even us, tayo, yun din yung mode natin kasi syempre priority is safety. So wala rin naman tayong choice. Yun
Mm-hmm.
nga lang, syempre meron ding mga consequences given that. Which
Mm-hmm.
is one of that is them being very inactive with everyday life,
Mm-hmm.
diba?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm. And
I
as
think, wait lang, si Teacher Anna kanina parang may i-add.
sorry, Teacher
ano ba
Anna.
yung sasabihin ko? Ayan, kasi even adults di ba kahit tayo,
Mm-mm.
parang nagkaroon tayo ng routine that when we go to work, we do our work there, then when we get home, that's our safe space. So parang because of that imbalance, I mean, even us as adults, we had that difficulty adjusting into that change
Mm-hmm.
when the pandemic happened. So what more the children, di ba? Na parang they're so used to having that structure in and day out, and then suddenly you take that away from them, and
Mm-hmm.
then they're stuck at home doing nothing, tapos biglang all of a sudden ibobombard sila at home ng school and therapy. Kawawa naman.
Yeah, and talking about, restructuring yung routines, no? Parang thinking about the home, it's not really a place, or it's not parang when we think of physical activity, hindi usually immediately nagpop up into our minds na the home is a place for physical activity. Di ba? Pag sinabi natin exercise, inisip natin park, o kaya gym, o kaya playground. So, parang thinking about the kids' experiences and their adjustments, reconfiguring all these adjustments in their minds. Um, hindi surprising, although it's sad, hindi surprising that a lot of them talaga are falling into patterns of inactivity ngayon, brought about by, the community quarantine measures, hindi yung mga kids hindi nakakalabas, no? So, um, siguro, um, as part of our discussion, no, baka maganda rin na ma-define natin ano ba yung inactivity. Siguro to level off lang with our viewers and listeners. What do we mean by inactivity? What exactly is it? Or what should we look out for to say na, yung kid na to or yung kid ko, inactive siya?
Siguro I'd want to define it by defining what physical activity is.
Okay.
Yun. So, because a lot of times we interchange what physical activity and exercise. We use
Mm-hmm.
those terms interchangeably, but in reality, if exercise is just a part of physical activity.
Mm-hmm.
Physical activity is any activity where your body moves and you use your muscles for it. So that can include playing, doing chores, or like very simple activities that you carry out at home. So as long as you're not like sitting lang or lying down. And then included in that is also exercise. So I guess that's how I can define what inactivity is. Inactivity is if you're not engaging in any of those physical activities, no matter how light or mild they seem.
Mm-hmm. Hindi ko alam yun. Akala ko parang pag sinabi natin physical activity, exercise na.
Yeah, I think then parang I came across it, I think sa WHO, parang may certain definition in WHO, and that exercise is just parang it's just underneath that umbrella.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. Si Teacher Steph, meron ka bang gustong i-add about um, um, how we think about inactivity?
I think aside from what teacher Anna described so concisely, I think it's how much space you claim inside your home. Like example, you are only on the chair in front of the screen, you are definitely inactive. The smaller the amount of muscles that you are using, the increased the level of your inactivity is. So if you are used to just slumping in front of a chair or maybe lying down on a couch and maybe just using your fingertips to type, and hold your neck upright. Sometimes wala pa nga, may pillow pa eh. Inactivity na yun.
Deactivated yung core, no?
Yes, definitely hindi
Sandal pa.
activated yung core. Nakasandal ka pa. Minsan nakatukod ka pa, right? So yun, I think that would be it. Kasi if thinking about it in the corners of the home, parang hanggang saan ba siya gumagalaw? Like example ngayon, chores, umaakyat bababa ng stairs yung kid, nagta-transfer ba ng items, nag-help putting things away. So that is also part of physical activity. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, given those definitions, Anna and Steph, so paano naman, bakit ba tayo masyadong concerned sa inactivity? Ano bang kinalaman yan sa well-being ng mga children?
Teacher Steph, you wanna go first naman?
May pattern na tayo. Okay. So why is physical activity important and movement? Because I think it's the primary way that children play and it's the primary way that children learn different things, concepts. They learn it through play. They learn it by manipulating objects and seeing how things work and things don't work. That's how they learn about themselves, what they can and can't do, what their limitations are through trial and error. I think kids are basically experiential learners. So they need to move, they need to make mistakes, they need to learn from those mistakes, and they need the happy hormones that come from the movement that encourage them to do it again. Yun. So that's what I think form healthy habits and patterns that make physical activity essential. Yun.
So, it
Try.
should
Yeah.
be a healthy experience. How about
Yes.
you, Teacher Anna?
O yun din, parang to add to what Teacher Steph mentioned, yes, because it's ano yun eh, nature ng children yun, to explore. And by forcing them in this situation to stay at home, you're parang generally limiting the circle already that they can go around in,
Mm-hmm.
and that is going to lead to eventually going to lead to some negative things. And tama din in mention ni teacher Steph that we need those hormones, we need those chemicals that will um, improve mood, improve behavior, improve sleep, improve your motivation to explore things again and again. And physical activity is the primary way children will be able to have those. Yun. And then, yeah, parang hindi mo kasi siya hindi mo puwedeng i-limit yung physical activity into kung ano yung concept natin as adults of what physical activity is. Because by doing that, it's not gonna be fun and play anymore. Ayan. So,
Exactly.
babalik tayo dun sa foundations pa rin of what is physical activity for children? How do we define physical activity in a children's language?
Mm-hmm. Actually, I really like that point, Teacher Anna, kasi parang kanina na-mention din ni Teacher Steph na, di ba, exercise or physical activity should be a happy experience. Pero as adults, kadalasan na aminado ako na parang pag sinabing mag-workout, parang it's such a chore to think about when do I schedule a trip to the gym, or parang hindi, parang there are times na hindi siya happy experience for us adults to think about physical activity. Pero that's parang maganda yung naging point mo, Teacher Anna, na for hindi yung idea natin of physical activity should not be parang parang directly translated sa language ng children. Para sa kanila, hindi yung idea natin of physical activity is not the same as it would apply to kids, no? Na parang, yun nga, yung play, yung nagiging vehicle natin ngayon to really introduce this enjoyment for movement and for, physicality, right? Yeah. Mhm.
Maybe Teacher Gia, you haven't found your perfect workout yet.
Maybe.
You have to explore and explore some more.
Which, di ba, parang napag-usapan din natin na parang there's for kids, yun din yung joy of it joy of exploring what works for
Yeah.
them, what physical, what play, what kinds of play that they enjoy, no? Parang yun yung magfo-foster nung love nila for being out there, for engaging in these types of activities. Yeah.
Yeah. Saka add ko lang din, Teacher Gia, baka doon papasok yung routine and motivation na dapat part siya ng routine ng lahat para kumbaga hindi ganun ka parang nakakatamad naman gawin. Ayan.
Di
Eh,
ba?
yun nga, di ba? I mentioned nga na hindi same ang exercise sa physical activity. So, may excuse ka rin na hindi kailangan gym, di ba? Pwede naman na ibang
Tama.
activities maglampaso tayo sa house, di ba? Pwede
Totoo.
yun.
Especially now na we're all homebodies, na
Yes.
even the kids are all at home.
Mm.
So parang it's really timely na ma-explore talaga natin. Paano natin pwedeng ma-maximize ang home environment to encourage physical activity, no? And it's very interesting din na hindi lang pala talaga yung physical aspects ang nagiging benefit ng physical activity for children, no? Hindi lang yung mas maging fit sila, pero meron din pala siyang benefits for learning, for mood, no? Um, is it something that you see often in your kids? Like, meron, parang may concrete effects ba kagad, like before the session, and then you do a physical activity, and then after the session, parang meron agad marked um, benefits kayo na-observe?
Meron naman. Pero syempre several factors come into play. Like if some of my patients have sensory processing difficulties. I mean, it's not always gonna be parang a quick fix na parang exercise mo lang, okay na siya later, di ba? Not always like that, but I do have parang a set of boys, they're both in their teens, na they're both diagnosed with ADHD, and sobrang different nila because the kuya, parang he's more into physical activity, like he make it a point to go ride the bike around the village, pinapayagan siya ng mom. Ikot-ikot siya doon, and then lumalabas siya, nauutusan siya to go to the store. The other one naman, parang he took COVID too seriously. Kasi, kasi tinuro sa school na parang COVID is ganito, ganyan. So
Bawal
siya
lumabas.
parang, hey, I'll be a good citizen of the Philippines. I'll stay in my house and be in quarantine. Hindi daw talaga siya lumalabas. Like even the mom, parang ang hirap na raw i-break yung thinking pattern na yun sa kanya. So, they're so different. Like the kuya is more motivated to try to do homework. They're both in the same school doing online classes. Si kuya mas active. Pag may hindi alam, magtatanong. Pag nahirapan, magta-try. The other one, games. As in, nababad siya talaga sa games. And yun, takas lang siya ng takas sa school activity. And silang dalawa, I really see that difference. And ang pinaka-factor lang that I can really, that really parang I feel like boils down to is the lack of physical activity of the other boy. Yeah.
The, yeah.
Sige.
Sige, go teacher.
Ako naman, I see it more in terms of the frustration tolerance. If a kid is able to um, exercise first, engage in movement play first before engaging in a more challenging thinking activity or processing activity, medyo napapansin ko yun sa kids. Kasi, syempre, physical activity is not just movement per se, di ba, Teacher Anna? We challenge them depending on their skills. So, we challenge them in a way, tapos parang we condition their minds to face the challenge with a positive outlook, knowing that there's some percentage of success after. Ayun. So, yun yung mga napapansin ko. Tapos, pag nagtatry ako, syempre at the start of telehealth, we tried initially with screen-based activities, with the colorful slides and everything that they can annotate. Napansin ko, the simpler my activities became, tapos nag-incorporate ako ng toys and movement and ball play, ganon, parang mas nakakuha ko ng positive na response sa students ko. Mas nag-engage siya, mas nagre-read, mas nagsi-sequence, mas nagsi-spell. So yun, parang naging multimodal kasi yung way of learning, na hindi lang siya basta puro visual. Tapos siguro kasi sanay siya throughout the day na puro visual kasi nakatapat lang sa screen. Yung ibang senses niya, generally, hindi naman siguro, pero parang deprived in a way kasi hindi niya nagagamit. Nung ginamit namin lahat, so syempre visual, auditory, tapos proprioceptive, vestibular kasi nagpe-play, parang yung buong person niya, buhay, engage dun sa activity. As kita mo kaagad sa reaction sa face na parang nakatingin siya sa'yo, hindi lang nakatulala sa screen. So, yun yung mga instant na nakikita kong changes kapag binigyan mo yung movement sensation na kailangan ng students, yung physical demands, yung physical requirements ng bodies nila. Parang they are there 100% rather than yung mga trickles lang na natira from school na napunta sa'yo. So, yun, it's a way to get them engaged a little bit more. Yun.
Okay, that is a good discussion, no? Para ma-set lang din natin yung expectations ng mga viewers natin, mapa-therapist, co-therapist, or parents, ganyan, sa kung ano ba yung mga possible na lumabas kapag nagpa-try tayo ng physical activity sa kids. So, like yung sinabi ni Ana na merong mga kids na very involved or even adults na very involved sa workouts, pero meron din naman na hindi masyado. Ganyan. Pero like yung binabanggit nyo nga rin, ni Teacher Steph and Teacher Anna na parang now we're always staying at home, ganyan. So we have to adapt. So ano ba yung mga kind of physical activities that you can recommend for these children in the home setting since bawal lumabas?
Yun, sa amin, ako parang I advocate use of what is available at home. So, hindi rin ako masyado ma-recommend na parang go buy this toy or buy this thing para makapag-workout lang or makagawa ng physical activity. So, what I usually suggest is like, for example, yesterday lang I had a session with one boy. Sobrang fruitful ng session kasi ang cute ng activity. Parang we had him catch some balls ng socks. Wala silang balls eh. So sabi ko, socks na lang, gawin yung bola. Tapos, ang gagawin ng kid, may hawak siyang basket. So, wala silang basket, merong karton. Hawak niya yung karton, sasaluhin niya yung mga balls ng socks that the dad is throwing at him. So, parang, through that activity, we're able to target social interaction, joint attention. Very easy. And then, since it was an IDC session with my speech therapist partner, we also targeted language skills. So it was a very seemingly simple activity using just balls of socks and carton. But it targeted a lot of things and he was running all over his small room. Diba? Like, may physical activity siya. It's otherwise nasa phone lang siya. And then we also tried other things like minsan walis. Para siyang nag-golf or like blanket. Yung isang activity namin was nakasakay siya sa karton. And then the yaya was at the other end of the blanket. Tapos siya nasa kabilang side. Hinihila niya yung salina niya. Pulling himself. Going to the other side. So para siyang nagsa-Spartan activity doon. inside his small room. Using a carton and a blanket. So those things are parang you have parang people kind of underestimate what they have at home. We really have so many things at home that we can use for physical activity. Just have to be like creative siguro. More creative and playful. Siguro play like a child para alam mo what to do with things. Yeah.
Lagi kong parang when I also play with my kids, lagi ko rin iniisip, nung bata ba ako, ano yung mga nilalaro ko, di ba? Parang, and I think you're right, teacher, nga, na, for a lot of people, there's this certain expectation nga na when we think about movement or exercise or physical activity, there has to be something like, kailangan may setup, kailangan may special equipment, kailangan may special toys na gagamitin. When in fact, even our everyday household items, pwede natin gamitin and incorporate into our play activities with our kids, no?
How about you, teacher staff? I think marami kang input dyan.
Yes, I am all for simplicity and creativity and playfulness, like Teacher Anna. Yes, definitely. My go-to, of course, is yoga. That is something I really push for kasi you don't need anything. It's just like a padded surface. Can be a mat, can be a cushion, a corner of the house that is uncluttered and away from gadgets. There. So that's the primary tool that the kid can use, his own body. And so in that activity, he or she can do whatever he feels is best for his body. So ganon. Ini-encourage ko din actually since nag-quarantine na sumali yung parents sa kids pag nag-yoga. They do poses together. Tapos especially when the kids, yun nga, when you develop the joint attention and the ability of kids to share their own play with their parents, pinafacilitate ko rin yung mga parents to encourage their kids to think of poses that they would like to do with their bodies. Sa yoga kasi, you copy different things that you would see in nature. So example, di ba, dog, downward dog. It's a stretching dog, essentially. Tree pose is a sturdy tree that sways in the wind but does not lose its balance. So it's, in a way, looking at your center and finding your own balance. So playing and moving with your body, that's one way to really encourage the physical activity for kids. Yun. So yoga is one way to go. And one more thing about it, what I love about it is kids can create stories
Mm.
with their poses. So like what teacher Anna said, so kids, they're here, they see the same things, they see the same corners, nagkaka-cabin fever na sila. Why not take, what I would call it, the imagination train for my kids, and my kids love that term. Where are we going today? What kind of poses or animals are we going to copy today? So I see them in the start, they try to figure out the poses, try to do it perfectly, but eventually when they just let loose and do the poses and create their own, you see that their body and their minds are working at the same time. And then nakakatawa, I have this kwento about my kid. We were doing a scene for like a jungle scene during previous class. Tapos the next week that we met, may naisip daw siyang isa pang post na hindi niya nasabi during that session. So she related to me. So I think that's one. We make continuity yung play, yung physical activity. Because it shows na kahit hindi mo sabihin na mag-yoga siya, na mag-exercise siya, siya yung gagawa. Tapos parang sense of accomplishment ngayon, source ngayon of self-confidence and self-esteem na he came up and shared it to you. Parang it's so, so nice. Parang nakakataba siya ng heart as a teacher that they're finding their own way as well. Yun.
I like what you said na yung isama yung parents, ganyan. Kasi 'di ba as adults should be the role model to these children, ganyan. So mahirap naman na lagi natin silang ini-encourage to do physical activity, ganyan. Pero tayo mismo tatamad-tamad gumalaw, ganyan. Ayan. I'm also just wondering, Teacher Steph, kung may case na ba na nagawa ng kid yung pose pero yung parent hindi niya nagawa.
Sobra. This is so true. Kaya natatawa yung kids pag kasama yung parent. Actually, kahit younger sibling na mag-invite ng older sibling to do it, mas magaling yung mas bata. Kasi younger kids are definitely more flexible and definitely fearless compared to older. As you get, di ba? As you get older, you become afraid of what you look like.
May inhibitions na.
Yes, may inhibitions na mukha kang nakakahiya, mukha kang ewan, something like that. But when you're young and you're free and you just follow what your body tells you, your heart tells you, definitely, yung mga hard or peak poses ng adults, yung mga sit down lang, the simple stretch, the seated forward fold with your legs stretched in front of you and you reach for your toes, maning-mani yan sa 2-year-old, sa 3-year-old. Pero pag nag-ano ka ng, kunwari, 6 or 7-year-old na nagpa-practice kayo ng handwriting, so nagpapa-activate ka ng core, nagpa-stretch ka before the activity, nagko-complain na siya. So yun. So it's definitely easier for the young ones. More pa sa parent na nag-work din from home. Same position throughout the entire day. Oo, syempre medyo mas mahirap din for mommy sometimes. But it's okay kasi they get a laugh when they do it together with the kids.
Tsaka siguro parang um, taking cues rin from what you were saying kanina, no, na about these physical activities are being part of play. Malaking part rin siguro that there's this suspension of reality na where yung kunyari, the pose looks like a tree or nag-imagine sila ng ibang pose o kaya yung play na na-invent ni na teacher Anna, kunyari yung sa carton, tsaka yung may blanket na hinihila siya. Parang there's this, hindi nila nafe-feel na nag-exercise sila or nag-physical activity sila. And I think there's magic in that.
That's the perfect word for it, magic.
Kasi in the process, even the parents who's been working the whole day, like yun din, parang teletherapy time is also their break time from work. And then, doon sila nag-exercise. Kasi, yun, buhat din nila yung kids nila. Diba? Kung hinihila ni kid yung blanket, nasa kabilang side si parent, eh, syempre kailangan din ng tension, di ba? So, para
Mm.
sila, pareho sila nag-exercise. So, like, medyo alam na nila, yung mga parents that I work with na parang, ayun na si Teacher Ana, mapapagod na naman tayo.
Actually, no,
Yes.
naka-outfit na sila, no?
Oo. Ready
I
na nga
love
eh.
it.
Jersey shorts na. Alam na mga dads yan. Ganun. Ang galing. Alam na nila kasi nakasama rin sila. And it's a good way to teach, to also promote that bond. Diba?
Yeah. Kasi the primary context that we're working with telehealth is the family.
Mm-hmm.
Talaga, what they can do, what is easy for them, what they're comfortable with. Yun. So involving them makes things a little bit easier for us as teachers.
And siguro ano rin, it's I think as teachers, you also have to parang recognize the fact na the parents, they're not just observers dun sa session, but they're really partners in when we implement yung mga teletherapy sessions natin. And part of that is really becoming engaged themselves dun sa mga activities, no? And I think it's also on us as therapists to provide opportunities for the parents also to become active participants in the session. Yeah. I
Ang
was
hirap lang din i-balance because I
yeah.
wanted to parang acknowledge also that syempre some parents, they really won't have time, diba?
Mm-hmm.
To be physically present with their children all the time or like at least with the therapy session. So yung iba talaga, yung work from home nila is so demanding. Or like, yung iba nga hindi na naka-work from home nila. So parang, I guess that also has an impact on children. Kasi like if a parent is super busy, trying to juggle everything like household chores, work from home, and then taking care of, for example, my baby, tapos may another sibling who's doing online school. Di ba? Parang mag-end up talaga na si other sibling more or less mapapabayaan siya. Or like, if that parent needs a rest, syempre, what's a better way to rest than to give your child TV or cellphone, di ba? Diyan ka muna. I need my quiet time, which I sometimes allow the parents to do because it's also good for their mental health, di ba? Hindi rin naman pwedeng puro bata lang, kawawa din naman the parents. So parang, it's actually difficult to balance. I'm not sure how to deal with that really until matapos yung COVID.
Ayun.
It's an adjustment for all family members talaga.
Ayan. But given those limitations nga na parang let's say limited sa time, sa resources, sa space, ganyan. Meron ba tayong mga masasuggest let's say na online resources or YouTube videos, pages, ganyan na pwedeng maging reference ng mga parents para maka-learn sila ng physical activities that they can give to their children?
Interesting.
Yes.
Ako ba?
Ikaw muna.
um, online sites, is that what you're asking, Teacher Marian?
Yes, or any recommendations that you can give to the parents given the limitations of our situation right now?
Okay. In terms of yoga, there are many videos online if they'd like to explore trying yoga, checking out if it's a good fit for them, their family, and their child. There are a lot on YouTube. There are a lot of videos out there. If they'd like to explore also maybe turning off the screen for the activity, there are yoga materials that are available. We have a few locally available books, cards that can be used. And the Play Kids yoga cards is one. So at least you can turn off the screen for that one and do it together. And there are other books and cards that they can find also online.
Everything's on the internet na naman ngayon.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Everything is on the internet. And I think the trick would be not sticking to just one, maybe exploring also which one fits, which one the kid likes. tasks. And then if they find that one thing that the kid likes, maybe explore, find a teacher who specializes in something like that or a class. Marami ng online eh. They can find what the kid really wants online. Sobrang amazing what technology has allowed us to do in our homes.
Mm. Yeah, speaking of
Tapos,
classes online, I'd like to promote Fitness B. Ayun. So, pero siguro if it's an online, if it's going to be an online parang class, syempre I'd like to promote my own. Ayun, the fitness classes that we have, ganun din siya. The focus is really on how to be healthy at home using materials you can easily find at home. And then we conduct the classes to young children focused on sensory motor based activities. In the mention teacher Steph a while ago na experiential learning. That's what we are very very much into. We want the children to learn different concepts by actually manipulating or getting a feel of those things. So parang like for example, an activity, query textures, what is soft, what is rough, what is smooth, and then you get to touch and feel different things when you, let's say, do a simple meal preparation, like just making a salad, making a sandwich, making a shake, ganyan. So we have those things in class. So in yeah, if they want to go check out also our social media pages, meron din kami parang like very simple activities you can try at home using these things. So they can try that out as well. I also know of I just forgot the name of that YouTube channel. It's a YouTube channel na may children, may animated children sila doing cardio exercises. Ayan, so may timer siya, tapos meron siyang may boy and girl siya na nag-exercise. Then you follow the exercises that the children are doing on screen with a timer. Tapos may rest breaks din siya in between. So that is if you want something that's very structured and if children are able to parang really watch and follow or imitate, that can be a good YouTube channel to follow. Ayun. Yeah.
So now that we have like these ideas about activities that parents and families can do with their children at home, um, do you have any tips on how parents can incorporate these activities into their routines?
I'll go first.
Sige.
Okay. So in terms of routines, I think kids need a break after usually 30-45 minutes of sitting. So maybe a 5-10 minute movement break for stretches, jumping jacks, cardiovascular activity, or play activities would be a nice option for them. And of course, it's nice to place the activity at the begin, like what teacher Anna said earlier. It affects the sleep and the wake week sleep wake cycle of the child. So a great way to keep them alert and awake and ready to start the day would be asking them to move at in the morning, stretching with them, maybe doing it as a family activity, doing it together before breakfast if while the sun is up, maybe in front of a window, sa may balcony, para at least the sunshine pa rin and happy hormones that come
Vitamin D.
into our life. Diba? Basta wag TV, basta natural light, something like that. And of course, for the sleep, towards the end of the day, again, I go back to yoga as a good breathing exercise and meditation activity at the end of the day. Because if a child is, from the studies, if you stay glued to your phone or a screen before bedtime, your sleep is not as deep. So maybe stepping away from the screen and maybe doing calming physical activities and breathing exercises, twists and stretches would also help develop a better sleep pattern there.
You know, part talaga ng winding down routine, no, at
Mm-mm.
the end of the day.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Tama yun eh, na-mention ni Teacher Steph, na when you do your exercises or any physical activity, you avoid doing it in the evening. ako, I personally suggest to my patients that they avoid doing vigorous physical activity after dinner because that will have an effect na on the sleeping time. Since instead of winding down, it will end up just alerting you more. So
Mhm.
what I suggest usually is you do correct, you sabi teacher step early in the morning upon waking up or in the afternoon, pagkagising sa nap siguro. Ganun. And then also the nap time, let's avoid going too long of a nap in the afternoon. I usually suggest not to go beyond 3 p.m. or 3:30, lalo na if you want the child to sleep by 10. So, para hindi affected the sleep by that time. And then, I guess the best tip I could give to improve the routine is to balance the routine of the child in the first place. I mean, right now parang we forget to let kids be kids.
Mhm.
End up being bombarded with too many activities all at once. So they have tutor, they have online class, they have for like special kids, they also have therapy. And then
Mhm.
yung ibang parents, they have parang extracurricular pa, may piano lessons, ganito, ganyan. So parang, if I'm the child and I have all those things on my plate, I have too many things to juggle, syempre nakakapagod na, di ba? So parang, if I'm on my alone time, gusto ko na lang humiga at mag-phone. Or like just watch TV, di ba? So parang I think that's medyo commonsensical na if pagod na siya doing too many things, hindi na siya mag-engage in physical activity. So if we could as much as possible to give our children breathing space
Mhm.
to ano din, allow them to have fun, relax pa rin, and then play. And then, I guess, for the routine to improve, maybe the family has to be involved as much as possible. If the parents are at work, a good weekend bonding time would be something I could suggest para at least
Mhm.
the family moves together. Yeah, it would be good to establish that kind of routine para the children also alam nila na, okay, sama ko si mommy and si daddy. We'll play together at this time.
Mhm. Kaya
Okay.
may establish siya as part of the family
Mm-mm.
routine talaga.
Tsaka
So,
can I add na by reminding the parents to not make the physical activity and exercise something that's very structural.
Yeah.
That's
Mm-mm.
very structured throughout the day. Maybe they might think that if we say it's part of the routine, that we're saying it must be straight to the point. You must do this. You must sweat. You must do all these kinds of exercises, work all these muscles. Maybe make your physical activity, your physical play, something that you don't need to think about. Yeah, because it's something that must, like what we said earlier, it must be something that feels good for the child, something that he must be motivated to do. So maybe just setting aside the distractions and allowing him to just move, imagine, and be. That would be a tip for parents who might be overwhelmed at this point with things that they must and must not be doing at
Mhm.
home.
Di ba? May expectation na kailangan mag-exercise yung anak ko.
Kailangan maka 1 hour, kailangan every 30 minutes, kailangan so parang I think, it's another source of stress in an
Yeah.
already stressful situation. So
uh,
maybe it's something that's supposed to make you happy anyway, so why not make the presentation of it something happy as well?
So, di
uh,
ba
Hindi,
parang,
hindi.
ay, sige, sorry, Teacher Anne. Go ahead.
and sorry to cut you off, Teacher Gia. Before we move on further lang in our discussion, I'd like to call one of our reactors, si Gio. I think he has some inputs to add. Gio, are you there? Gio.
Hello, good evening.
Can you turn on your
Uh,
video? We
yeah,
can see
okay,
you.
wait. Okay, so about the physical activities facing on the children. So since my experience in internship currently is mostly like teletherapy, so it's so difficult for us to give physical activity personally to our children. So what I did, since one of my experiences with children, because one of the problem with the parent is lack of activity and loss of interest. So also the parent also told me the interest of the child. So the current interest of the child was movies like Frozen. So I incorporate the exercise with Frozen. So there are videos in YouTube um that are, I mean, like there's YouTube videos that there are like girls that dress up as Elsa who performs the exercises. So I also did the exercises since the child was an only child. So it was really you really need to incorporate yourself also during the exercise to play with the child. So the child also did the exercise for a few minutes. So at least there was a little attention on the activity or the session. So it was a good start, and for the mood also, to improve the mood of the child. So yeah, that's good to see the child perform. Thank you.
Thank you, Gio. Totoo na, di ba, as therapists, we really have to use everything in our arsenal to to engage our kids, especially with activities, like yung nabanggit nga ni Gio na yung physical activity through Frozen, di ba?
Okay. I think another reactor would also like to speak. Si Joshua.
Hello once again. Yes, so far I have noticed that it's really caught my interest that even yoga is used to facilitate specific interventions, and it's caught my attention as well that until now that many kids these days would probably end up having some inactivity. Now I have taken note from our speakers for this particular episode that we have opportunities that we can offer to these kids, no, especially regards to uh, let's say engaging into more productive activity and in the process improving their experiences in learning and development. Now, if one thing I do recall based on previous experiences, it's the attention span of the children usually that brings about the real challenge. Given that most of the interventions would also require heavily the immediate participation of the children themselves. There are times, siguro, medyo di pa kabisado yung iba't ibang mga activities na i-give natin sa mga bata. There are times also that even the kids would refuse to participate. Yes, I have personal encounters with that. And there's the necessary adjustments that may be taken. Now, if anything, with of course, with what one of our speakers have already mentioned, unstructured play would be very viable for the continued engagement of these children in these particular activities. And I am actually very impressed that we have dedicated centers that feature particular interventions that target the immediate participation of these children all together, no? And with that, there's another thing that I also would like to point out. Yes, it's also a challenge now since we are under the limits of, let's say, the limitations have been imposed by the pandemic. There's not much play space per se, and that will also greatly affect the opportunities for the children to manifest an even more, let's say, ideal experience for continued learning and progressive development. And to at least compensate for that, I believe, yes, I would have to agree with, again, with one of our speakers mentioned earlier about the active participation of family members. Now, this is very essential given that this is also part of the child's life itself. So with that, there may be improvements in the outcome of the interventions, especially meron na po yung mga iba't ibang members ng family na nag-participate din sa mga activities na binibigay natin bilang mga therapist. And of course, there's that real value of physical activities that may improve also the health and quality of life conditions of these children. So yeah, that there's a lot we can draw up out of this particular topic, and I am really pleased that I have really learned a lot so far. Yeah, and that's all for this one.
Thank you, Joshua. Okay,
Reaction.
anything you'd like to add, Teacher Anna, Teacher Steph, or okay na?
Ako,
So, ayan.
Parang siguro jumping off lang from one of the points that Joshua made, no? Parang sinasabi niya kanina that there are challenges in engaging kids to, to participate in physical activities. So, what have you encountered mga reluctant kids? Like reluctant kids na hindi ganun ka interested in physical activities. So if so, ano yung parang strategies that you've done before or that you do to get them more engaged?
ako siguro working with children with mostly with children with autism. I
Mhm.
guess it's a natural thing for them to hesitate at first
Mhm.
because it's a transition from seeing me face to face, handling things with me face to face. Biglang ngayon, I'm on screen and there's this big barrier in front of us. I guess more than the difficulty of engaging the child,
Mhm.
mas naging challenge sa akin to get the parents on board. Or not
Mhm.
just the parents, I guess the whoever is available to facilitate the therapy session with me. So, yun, I usually get that question na parang, pagka bata pa, ganyan kaliit, parang useless naman mag-online. Or parang, di matututunan ba sila online? Ang liit-liit pa niyan, di pa sila nakakaupo.
Mhm.
And exactly, hindi sila nakakaupo. So you don't keep them seated during a therapy session. You have to get them moving. At some of the parents I've worked with, initially, they did not understand na pwede kaming umikot sa bahay. So, like, the during this teletherapy session, parang I've gone to their houses. Like, na-invade ko na yung CR nila, yung kitchen nila. Like, kung saan-saan na ako nakarating sa bahay nila because we do activities in their homes. We do meal preps, we do water play in the CR. Naglalaro kami dun sa may garage ng basketball. So parang we do a lot of these activities, but it all I guess depends on how willing the family is to facilitate things with me. Ayun. Because if they're not, if they're the one hesitating or if they're the one na medyo reserved, the child I know will the child I think will feel that reservation and sila mismo parang okay ayoko na gawin kasi parang papagalitan lang ako or babawalan ako or pipigilan ako. Ayun.
For me naman, I think I've been blessed so far with parents who have been super more than game to get dirty and active with me for their kids who have not been shy in front of the camera. But aside from that, one thing I noticed that helps kids who are unmotivated to move is maybe having something different to look forward to. So I teach kasi inclusive yoga classes. So kids of different developmental abilities, when they have this schedule that they can see each other online and do poses and do activities with someone else on the screen, they can see someone doing it with them. It has become a great motivator kasi I worked with syempre for kids that are younger, definitely it's not that big a motivator to work with classmates. What helps is siblings and parents. So if they see the enjoyment of their parents and siblings doing it,
Mhm.
that will motivate them to try. But if they're a little bit older, school age or adolescents, they need to feel that there is still a world out there and their friends are still out there. So I've done several yoga parties for my kids and their friends just so that they can have fun and exercise together. They still know that their friends are there. They can do this together. So at least it's not like a day that repeats over and over and same thing happens. They can look forward to a date on a calendar again when they would do something different, though it's just virtual. Yon, so that helps. Seeing someone doing it with them, whether in person or online, that is a big plus for kids. Kasi syempre, it's not play if they feel like it's like Big Brother, they're doing it and somebody's just watching. So they need to feel that somebody is doing it with them. So yon, finding that hook for them to keep doing it and trying. Yes.
That is a good suggestion, no, na we can promote being active not just among the children but to the whole family as well. Kaya lang, meron lang mga families din who believe that if children have a disability, parang the family are more wary of making their children be active to prevent accidents. What are your thoughts about that?
I guess, well, I was able to talk to a friend. Ano siya, he's a parent of two. Typically developing kids naman. Tapos lagi silang, ano siya, traditional Chinese family. Lagi naman siyang napagsasabihan na, ah, alagaan mo ng mabuti or two girls, huwag yung hinahayaan mo kung saan-saan tumatakbo, nakatapak, yung holding soil, plants, ganyan. Teach them to be more reserved, ganyan. So parang siya, ang parenting style niya is Montessori style. So let my child be, let my child experience. Because for him, what's hindering parents, personal opinion niya, what's hindering parents from allowing their children to do things is our personal feelings of being inconvenienced daw. So if someone, if a parent daw is going to be inconvenienced, that's when that parent prevents the child from doing something. Like let's say you have a child with special needs. You want to have that child, you want to involve that child in physical activity. And you want to try, for example, this particular activity at home, nauunahan, I think, nauunahan yung parent ng fear na baka, what if magkalat? What if may masagi, may mabasag? Kailangan ko pa maglinis, di ba? Kailangan kong ayusin, kailangan kong bantayan. So it will take up a lot of my time. And that is that inconvenient factor na that's, I think, preventing us from allowing our children to be what they want to be or to do what they want to do. So if I could suggest, uh, we have to, I guess, be mindful lang of how we um, feel about that activity. Is it, are we trying to prevent the child from doing it because solely because baka maaksidente siya, baka masaktan siya? If yes, then sige, pigilan natin. But if we're doing that because we want to avoid being inconvenienced, then I think we have to rethink that that choice and and support your child and try to allow your child to do things. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for answering that question, Teacher Anna, because that is actually one of the questions of our audience. Okay, anything you'd like to add, Teacher Steph?
That's such an interesting way of looking at it, Teacher Anna. I've never seen it that
Oo
way.
nga eh. Yeah.
It's maybe because we're not yet parents and it takes a
Yes.
parent to
Oo.
really know how to really think about it, sit down and think about it. But maybe from a therapist perspective, what we can do to manage that is teaching the parents on handling proper
Yeah.
hand so that they feel confident enough and it's not that big an inconvenience for
Mhm.
them, because yeah, I do believe it's true because it's more work for them.
Mhm.
But something I noted in from parents of my kids with special needs, they notice na nawala kasi sila from the sensory gym, from the OT that they know is a lot of physical activity. Their kids have resorted to climbing furniture, turning upside down on the couch. So it's one way. It's an opening for us to explain to them that if you don't give them their physical requirements, they will find it one way or another, and that will be more more dangerous, maybe more accidents because they're not thinking about the activity as compared to something that like teacher Anna described earlier na maybe pulling on the blanket that is part of an activity that you're pulling the other side. Imagine if the kid pulls that ng siya lang, di ba? na yung tatanggalin lang niya sa bed and the bigger mess na ganun. So I think it's one way then to point out to parents na they need it. So find a way to provide it for them because yun, para it will be easier for everyone involved in the long run.
Na parang it's still on their terms, no? Na parang
Yes, oo.
you can jump off the couch, pero ganito natin gagawin.
Yes, parang, yes, exactly.
Sinet
Parang
up mo
may
na.
goal in mind. Yes, parang hindi lang siya random sensory play. May goal na siya, di ba?
Which can be scary for parents, no? Nakita niya nakatayo na sa table yung anak niya. Ayan.
Oo.
So, siguro this is a good time rin for maybe you guys to also share siguro some pictures or yung social to plug yung social media pages nyo to na pwedeng maging online resource for for our viewers sakaling interested sila to learn more about what kind of physical activities that they can do at home.
Okay.
You want to go first, Teacher Anna?
Sige. Let me look for it muna. Okay. Sandali lang.
And so,
May ano ka dito.
I'm sure the viewers talaga would get a lot of inspiration from our speakers this evening. Okay.
There.
Sorry, can you see it na ba?
Yes po. That's
Okay.
fitness
So yan, fitness B. So yan, that one activity on the right, that's hindi ko siya patient, ano siya, anak siya ng co-partner ko sa fitness B. So yan. So that's what we do dun sa social media page namin. Nung sa start ng lockdown, nung we didn't have any programs yet, what we did was parang give these ideas out. They just throw them out there on social media so parents know what to do with their children habang wala pang online school. Yeah. So yeah, we have a few videos yan. Yeah, so parang ganun yung what we try to promote is like the use of common household stuff. Like this one, may party sila, so may naiwan na balloons, tapos egg crate. So the older boy is, if I'm not mistaken, he's 4 at the time, and then this younger boy is turning 2 at that time.
Cutie
So yan,
pie.
ice water.
Mm.
And
Okay. And I think you also have a Facebook page, no, Teacher Anna?
yes, you can follow us at FitnessB PH in Instagram and in Facebook. Yan. So ito, medyo blessed si partner because malaki yung house niya. What I want to highlight here is you can also do these things even if you're like in a condo or like yung isang OT that works for us sa Fitness B. She's living in a condo. She conducts the classes sa hallway. Yun. So, yun, doon siya sa hallway nagka-classes kasi medyo kakilala niya ata yung mga neighbors. So, okay lang na medyo maingay siya doon. Pero she utilizes that space. Like, and I know of some of the patients that live in smaller areas. Talagang they dedicated like even just a corner of their house na talagang, okay, every therapy session, we work here. So the child has parang structure na every time you see Teacher Anna, you're going to be staying in this room. Yeah. Simple lang, stuffed toys, box.
it really drives home the point no, na they don't have to go out of their way talaga to look for materials because the materials are at home na.
Yeah. Yeah. So even itong sa video, mansion yung house niya, pero ito lang naman eh. You just need that small of a space and you can do the activities already. So that will involve motor planning, bilateral coordination. Diba? Yan is measuring tape. Measuring tape lang. Yan, that's all.
That's cute.
Thank you, Teacher Anna.
How about you, teacher staff?
There. You can find us on Play. On Instagram, it's at Play Yoga Movement, and on Facebook, it's at Let Kids Play Movement. These are the yoga cards I was talking about earlier. So we made this in 2018. It's one way for the kids to practice yoga off screen. So yeah, these cards can be used by little yogis as young as 2 years old. So that young, kayang-kaya na nila lahat ng poses na yan. And we have also classes online. I have a class for school age kids 5 to 11, 6 to 11 na pala, for kids. And I also have a mindful movement break for adolescents if they want to move deeper into the yoga poses that they that adults can do, and it's a more mindful practice versus the one for kids that's very play based, so more may silence and mindfulness na for the adolescents. And wait, let me share. So that this is our IG. So this is what our yoga class looks like online. And I have this. So this is my very energetic. So actually, she's also a student of a yoga teacher. So she's very brave. So they like sending in photos to me about their kids. So this is one of my other students doing a sun salutation there. So I like to take photos of them doing their poses at home, and then they love sending it to me there. So please check us out and send us a message if you have any questions about how you can incorporate yoga at home there.
Okay, thank you, Teacher Anna and Teacher Steph, for sharing with us your invaluable knowledge and expertise in the field of physical fitness. Okay, so before we end this session, do you have any parting words that you'd like to leave to our audience?
Words. Parang, pressure ako ah. Ano ba?
Short lang naman, di naman.
Ayun din, siguro I'd like to go back to what I said a while ago, to just let kids be kids. Ayun, because that's one way we can, I think that's the best way we can promote physical fitness without overthinking things. We just let the kids parang direct us to how they want to play. And syempre as parents or as adults, therapists, will be there to guide pa rin, to set some boundaries pa rin for a safe and safe play opportunity. Pero yung play ideas, it's nice if we just like sit back and watch how a child would play. That it will give us an idea of how to expand that to facilitate more skills. Yeah.
So let kids be kids.
Yeah. Yeah, so parang mahirap nang dagdagan yung kay teacher. Parang ano yeah, let kids play, let kids be kids, and try to remember, for parents and teachers, try to remember how you were as kids and what you like to do. I'm sure we were less techy then, and we had lots of fun. So look back on that and try to remember how much fun it was to just um, move freely, explore, try new things, and foster that in our kids, because they don't, especially the ones who grew up this year, like really started interacting this year, they have no idea what play is outdoors and outside. So let's give them an experience of that, however simulated it might be. It's still play. They will look back on this quarantine at those play moments, definitely with us, their teachers, with their parents, and it will be something that they will remember versus the isolation and the negative things about it. So yeah, there I can't help but teach positivity. So it's something, no, you can always impart, no matter how difficult the situation is or how down we may feel at times. Maybe a stretch, a movement, a few breathing breaks. That's all you need for parents, teachers, and kids. Yeah, here.
Thank you again, teachers, for a very fruitful discussion tonight. And we would also like to thank our dear viewers and attendees for joining us in today's conversation. We hope you were able to pick up a thing or two that you can bring into your own practice.
All right. Looks like we've reached the end of this episode and this season. Would you believe this season of OTalakayan, where we got conversations going about mental health? Thank you so much, everyone, for staying tuned and staying with us this season. I'd also like to thank all our speakers and guests, all the way from the first episode to you, Teacher Anna and Teacher Steph, for you've all been invaluable to the success of Otalakayan. A big shout out also goes to the team behind Otalakayan Season 3, led by Sir Jeff Paulino. Yay! Great work, you guys.
Okay, and as we end this episode, remember that these conversations don't stop here. Keep the conversations going with your colleagues or your friends, and let us know what you'd like to see in the future sessions of OTalakayan, PAOT's online interview program where we tackle different topics relevant to occupational therapy.
And if you haven't yet, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button on the official PAOT YouTube page and the official PAOT Facebook page for more details and updates. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and God bless. Bye, everyone.
Bye, happy holidays.